G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories, including past experiences, and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode of Hunting Connection podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Rick Scammell, Life Goes On Adventures. How you going, mate?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
That's good. Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Thanks for coming on, man. I know it was only, yesterday or the day before we locked it in, but it moved pretty quick, so I had the spot opening and just had to get you on while the conversation was still hot with your Facebook post.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It did move very quickly. But yeah, thank you for having me. It'd be good to have a bit of a chat and talk about life and my accident and how I do things now. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man, like you put a post on, and I seen it, and I'm like, oh, I'll jump on and try and have a chat to this guy later, and then I just kept getting tagged in it saying, hey, I think you should reach out to this fella and get him on the podcast for a chat, because people want to hear your story and your way of hunting. So for people that don't know you, which I reckon a lot of people on the Hunting Australia page will by now, you're a paraplegic hunter who hunts by a chair, well, hunts out of a chair, and you put a post up with you with some foxes, and you're like, well, I can't remember what you said, but you're just basically introducing yourself, and this is your style of hunting.
Yeah. So I chucked a post up on one of the Australian fox hunting pages, and had a request to put the post also on the Hunting Australia page. And yeah, I just wanted to show people, I suppose, how I hunt from my off-road wheelchair and also from the car, which the car's not too exciting. Obviously, most people do that, but I don't have much of a choice to do anything else. But yeah, I just wanted to show people how I do it and my off-road chair, because they're not too common, and it just went ballistic. Like I think there was like hundreds of comments of people sort of saying how cool the chair was and good job, and it was, I suppose, inspirational in some way for some people. And then which also led to, I saw on the way home tonight, somebody else put a post up on the page and they were a quadriplegic. So that was even cooler than like the situation I'm in, because I'm being a paraplegic. My level of injury is T4, so pretty much from my nipples down, I have no movement, no sensation, no anything. So I've got no abs or abdominal muscles to sort of assist me balance or anything like that. But when you're a quadriplegic, like your injury is up higher above mine, and that's when it starts to affect like hand function and arm movement and that sort of stuff. So depending how high the injury is and how severe the injury is, because there's different types of different levels to the injury. So for mine, I'm a T4 Asia A complete, which means obviously no movement, no sensation, like it's just sort of dead below my nipples. But if I was incomplete, it means that I'm still a paraplegic, still have that same injury, but I might have limited function below the injury. So yeah, I'm sort of, grateful and very lucky that I've sort of got the injury at the height that it is, because, as I said, if it was any higher, I may not be able to sort of drive my car and be as independent as I am. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked there, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
That's it. Yeah, that's how the post.
Love the in-depth answer. So were you a hunter shooter before the injury, or?
Not in great depth, I would say. Like I did a little bit of shooting as a kid with Dad, and like my auntie and uncle had a farm, and we shot there a couple of times. But it wasn't like a hobby, I would say. I had an interest in it, and I liked firearms, and I wanted to get my license when I could, but dad sort of, he liked it, but he wasn't that into it where it was a full-time hobby for him. But then after a couple of sort of different careers or into adulthood, I joined the army as a rifleman. And that's when like my love of shooting sort of amplified and got a lot more in depth. And then because I was located in Townsville, which is like far north Queensland, and I made friends with a couple of guys that were right into pig hunting up there. So yeah, when we weren't at work, we'd sort of be fanging through the bush, chasing pigs with dogs and all that sort of good stuff. And I loved it. Like I just really enjoyed. I think I enjoyed the hunting aspect of it. Like, but I also enjoyed like physically running through the bush chasing something. Like, and it was kind of like a bit of almost like a primitive thing. Even though we had dogs and GPS trackers on them, it was still like on foot through the bush. Like we didn't use quads or buggies or anything. And you'd sort of, you'd have to run flat out, stop, listen where the pigs and the dog are, and then take off again. And then sort of, I suppose, yeah, fast forward to when I had my accident, I didn't do any hunting for a while after that. And the partner that I've got now, her dad has a farm down in sort of central New South Wales. So we've done a little bit of hunting down there, and that's when I sort of like started to really get back into it. I still did target shooting like from the chair for ages. But yeah, it took me a few years before I did hunting properly again. Yeah, so it's been good.
That's awesome. Can we chat a little bit about the accident? What happened and led you to be in your position?
Yep. So 2019 or 18th of August 2019, I was camping for the weekend. I was on a beach just north of Townsville. The area was called Crystal Beach, where Crystal Creek comes out to the ocean. And I had my dirt bike with me, which I'd ridden dirt bikes since I was a little kid. Like I think I got a Pee-wee 50 when I was 5. So I'd ridden all my life. I'd never raced, but I'd say I was quite a confident rider. And I had friends come out on the Sunday morning. They had breakfast with us on the beach. I was just putting around the front of our campsite on the hard sand on the water's edge with my mates' kids on my lap, just putting around in circles. Like each kid would go for a 2-minute sort of ride with me. And my bike was a bit hotted up and it didn't like going slow, like it didn't get enough airflow. So when we finished, like we'd packed up camp already, sort of ready to come home. My bike was the last thing we had to load up. And I just said, I'm going to go for a quick race up the beach for one last ride and then we'll go. And it's always the last thing of the day when something goes wrong, I reckon. Yep. One of those weird universal things. But yeah, so I had a different partner at the time and I went hooking up the beach flat out as I always did, having fun. Went, I don't know, say 5 or 6 Ks up to the sort of mouth of the next creek where you couldn't get any further, turned around and was on the way back. And I only remember bits and pieces of the actual stack itself and sort of stuff after that because there's a lot of missing parts from the day. But what I do remember, and I've had little sort of like, I'd say flashbacks, but they could be like little PTSD flashbacks years after this where I'm like, holy fuck, I remember that now. Like, I was fanging along the beach and started to get kind of like the speed wobbles with the like bar slap kind of thing. And then it sort of wobbled, which I'd had that happen before and I wasn't sort of too worried about it, but it sort of slapped hard enough that the front tire bit into the sand. And then when it bit, it like high-sided me and sort of flicked the bike up. And I sort of, I suppose you'd say, ended up in a bit of a Superman position through the air sort of thing. And I remember thinking when that happened, like a split-second thought, like, oh, fuck, like I've come off. Like I haven't had a stack for years or I haven't come off for a long time. That's weird. Like, and I sort of flying through the air and I remember thinking like, oh, well, like I'll just do a bit of a tumble, like I'll sort of tuck and roll, and I'll get up and I'll have to pick the bike up and off we go again. And that was the last thing I remember for that section. And then I remember waking up face first in the sand and sort of like coming to consciousness again, and sort of like propping myself up onto my forearms and like lifted my helmet to spit because I felt like I needed to spit, and I spat blood. And I remember I actually said like, oh, fuck, that's not good. And then I blacked out again and went unconscious again. And while all this was happening, my partner at the time and my mate that had come out for breakfast they were on the beach talking, and it's one of those weird things that I just think there's something else going on in the world for this stuff to happen. But she said that they were on the water's edge, and she said that something caught her eye, and like it was almost like something black flew up into the sky. It was really weird. And I was so far away, like nobody could see me. It wasn't possible for her to see like anything from my bike or me, whatever. She said something caught her eye, went up into the sky, and then she just had this really weird feeling of like something's happened and something's not right. And she said to my mate, hey, can we just jump in the car and go look? Like it was just a weird thing she couldn't explain. So they jumped in his car, headed up the beach for ages, obviously me being 5 or 6 Ks away. And they got to a point on the beach where they're like, oh, we would have seen him by now. Like he'll be off in the scrub somewhere. We'll just head back. And my mate who was driving said, oh, I'll just go through this little dip here because it was a weird spot to turn around. He said, we'll go through the dip and then up over that crest, we'll turn around. And as they did that, they got to the top of the crest, and that's where they could see me. So it was very, very lucky that happened because of the injuries that I had, which I'll talk about in a minute. I would have died there if they hadn't have found me. And also, if I was in the scrub like they thought I was and nobody found me, I wouldn't be here today, which is a crazy thought. So they found me. And the other weird thing was there was a photo taken of me with my mate's kid on my lap as I was at the front of the camp, and it was, let's say 12 o'clock just to make it easy. And I think the first call to the ambulance when they found me was like something weird, like 12 minutes later. Like it wasn't long, not long enough to be worried sort of thing. Like it sort of ties in with that weird feeling that she had. So, yeah, first call to the ambulance, they sort of talked him through how to keep me alive because I was gurgling because I suppose I'll rattle off the injuries that I had now because it ties in with what I'm about to say. I suppose the injuries that weren't too bad were broken nose, broken both eye sockets, I broke both cheekbones, and I'm not sure of the name of it, sort of but between the bottom of your nose and I suppose your lip, like that bone across your top of your teeth there. I fractured my sternum. I fractured my right scapula. I broke ribs on my right side, which had punctured my lung, which was sort of led to internal bleeding and were filling my lungs with blood. And that's why I was coughing blood and gurgling. And my sort of mate that had me on the beach had to sit me up, as the ambo person told him. And my T4 vertebrae had what was called a burst fracture. And I suppose the easiest way to explain it is if like you grabbed somebody's spine at the top and you grabbed someone's spine at the bottom and you pushed them together and put pressure on it, like a lot of pressure, eventually one vertebrae will give out, and mine exploded. And my family said that on the scans it looked like someone had just smashed up that vertebrae with a hammer, like it was just into pieces. So then, where was I? So they called the ambulance. The normal sort of like Land Cruiser ambulance couldn't figure out how to get onto the beach, and neither could the police. So everyone's like stressing out because I'm dying on the beach and the bloody ambulance can't figure out how to get me. And the other injury was a fractured skull and a bleed on the brain, which sort of unfortunately ended up leading to my acquired brain injury, which it's not too severe, but I suffer from short-term memory issues now, and I can't retain information unless it's said to me on repeat about 100 times. So because the ambos couldn't figure out how to get to me, they sent the helicopter. And from the first call to when it landed on the beach was about 40 minutes, I think. And yeah, I don't remember too much else. I remember the sand sort of being blown around everywhere from the chopper landing. And one sort of funny thing from the whole experience was because I was my mate that had me on his lap sort of thing, holding me up. He said I kept coming in and out of consciousness, which I don't remember, but he said every time I'd kind of like wake up, I'd ask what had happened. And he said it happened that many times he got sick of telling me I'd had an accident. "Oh, you've hurt yourself, mate. Oh, no, you'll be right." He ended up saying to me, I tried out for the Crusty Demons and I didn't make it. which my partner at the time didn't think was very funny. But
It's that trench humor, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, bless him. And then, yeah, it was obviously airlifted off the beach. My partner at the time was in the chopper with me. And another moment that she didn't think was funny was I think I could see like scenery, whether it was the mountains or clouds or whatever. And I was like, oh, supposedly I said, oh, it's a nice view or something. And the poor bloody bugger's sitting in the chopper holding a bag of blood for me so I don't die. And then, yeah, got to hospital, was in a bit of a coma for, I don't remember how long, 4 days a week. And I had surgery on my spine to put two, I think, titanium rods either side of the injury to hold it all together. And yeah. So anyway, that sort of summarises the stack for you.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, motorbikes, man. Like I grew up riding it. My stepdad's a mad keen trail guy, and yeah, it's very fortunate. Like you think about different stacks you've had over the years. You know, we used to ride sand a fair bit on properties, and you'd come out of a blowout or whatever, and I've had the speed wobbles as well, and the bike catch sand or whatever, and you have some decent stacks. But yeah, you don't. Yeah, like just a story like that is just insane. Like I know this story is nothing compared to what you've gone through, but my stepdad, he was out trail riding, and he's going along dirt, like a sandy dirt track, and he's got a flat tire, and he's going through, and he's blew through a berm and gone over the top and gone over his handlebars and knocked himself out, and come back conscious, and he goes to get up, and he couldn't get up, and after a while, and he's freaking out, he's sand in his mouth, blood all in his mouth too, like he's freaking out, and he thought he'd done similar to what you done, but then after about 5 minutes he realized that his camel pack had gone over the top of his helmet and locked himself in, so he couldn't move because his pack was over the top of his head, but he'd also busted a hole in his bladder as well, so like on the little tube there, so he was pissing blood and that, and then after a bit of time he ended up riding himself to hospital with a flat tire, and gone into hospital, and he's got blood all in his helmet and stuff. But yeah, it's crazy how quick those things can change on bikes. Are a scary thing. I love them to bits, but yeah, like it's so crazy.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing that I sort of thought about after my accident, and I still think about now, that all the stacks I've had over the years, and like I could be scrolling through videos on Instagram, just doom scrolling, watching funny shit, and somebody has like a way more crazy or hectic stack than I think I did, and they just like dust themselves off and they get up and they're fine, and it's just obviously I happened to land badly and did this injuries that I did. It's just sort of shit happens. But it's crazy how quick things can change. And that's one thing that I say to the kids now, like obviously like I had an accident or an injury doing something that I love, and it was I was going fast and whatever, but you could trip over a paver or like lifted part of the footpath and bump your head and you're dead. Like it doesn't take much at all for something serious to happen. But I suppose one thing that I do think about a lot too, and I am very grateful for. I wasn't the type of person to go riding without a helmet anyway, but I was so grateful and lucky that I was wearing the helmet that I was. It wasn't a super flash one, like it was a Fox one. I think it was between $300 and $500. I can't remember, but the inside where I had high sided myself, I'd come down sort of head first into the sand because you could see the dent inside the helmet from where my head had impacted it. But it had also like split the styrofoam, or it had split the foam inside the helmet. I remember the hospital saying that because of my head injuries and the helmet, and the police too said it, like if I wasn't wearing that, I'd be dead just from the head injury itself. So yeah, very, very lucky.
That's crazy. Were you wearing any other like body armor or anything like that? It was just helmet and
No, I was wearing boots. I had Alpine Star boots on, which are quite a good, well-known brand for being like good safety-wise kind of thing. I had knee and they were like knee braces, but they had like they could articulate sort of thing. Like they were quite a good knee brace as well, or knee and shin brace. So I had boots, knee brace, helmet, gloves, and I didn't actually own body armor, and so I'd never worn it. I don't know if that would have helped me at all. I'm not
yeah.
really sure. It may have. But yeah, so it was just my helmet, goggles, boots, and knee braces.
Yeah, crazy. What type of bike were you riding? Was it just trail bike, venture bike? What?
Yeah, it was a 2009 KTM 530 EXC, so just like a enduro bike, and I had that mentality of yeah, I want a big bike, like, and that's sort of the biggest bike I could afford at the time. So I had a 530, and I got stitched up by the guy I bought it from in Mackay. And if he's listening to this, you're a prick. His name was his name was Steele. I still remember it, fucking asshole. But I bought it and I rode it twice, and it seized up on me and like fully mangled the engine. So yeah, mates that looked at it sort of suspected that he sort of knew it was on its way out. And anyway, doesn't matter. Life goes on. But so second ride, blew it up. Had to sort of save to repair it, and I thought, oh well, like the motor's buggered, I may as well hot it up a bit. So I bought sort of like right at the end of the big bore kits for him, which made it I think a 570. So yeah, it was a good bike.
I love the KTM's. They're good. We had a KTM. What is it? The two banger, the
350.
The weird number. It wasn't a 350. It was.
Oh, okay.
What was it? Yeah, I can't even remember. And then old man, that's all he rides is KTM's, and he's got like 590 and the 11, whatever the 11 is, and yeah, bloody good.
Yeah,
bikes.
nice. Yeah. I was actually looking at KTM's again the other week because I've got the kids' dirt bikes now, and my partner was like, because the kids were having so much fun, and she took off on my daughter's TTR. No, yeah, I think it was a TTR 230. And she comes back and she's like, "Do you think you could get me a bike?" So I was like, "Yep, I know." I started looking at all the KTM's and like those sort of not the not the maybe the enduro ones, like the you can get the 390s and the 590s and the 790s and 1190s or whatever they are, like sort of go bigger and bigger. Yeah, so they're a good bike. I don't mind a good KTM.
Do you ever see yourself like I follow a girl on Instagram and she had a pretty bad spinal injury mid last year, maybe early last year, and I just seen a
Mhm.
reel out of the, just out of the corner of her friends chucking her back on a bike, and she had all the, spinal brace on and everything, and I'm pretty sure she
Mhm.
became a paraplegic after her accident or having very serious spinal injuries from it, and they were chucking her
Mhm.
back on a bike. Do you ever see yourself getting back on a bike, or?
Yeah, definitely. I have thought about it, and I did want to sort of get myself when I got the kids bikes, like sort of maybe a 250 or a 450, and sort of kit it up so I could ride it, because there are quite a few guys on social media that have done it and sort of put all their footage up, which is cool to see. Um, so it is something on my to-do list, but I kind of just got sidetracked with other commitments and stuff for the kids. And like, yeah, it's because it's not going to be cheap to set it up. Like the cost of the bike plus all the modifications it needs and the cage around it. So when I do come off, I'm sort of a little bit more protected than usual. Um, but yeah, I have also thought, because I want to get into hunting a bit more, whether I just settle. I still would like a proper dirt bike, but whether I just sort of settle for a quad and kind of just putt around with that and have it sort of set up for both, like hunting and putting around with the
Yeah.
kids. Mm.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Let's chat about your recovery. Like, how long has it taken you to recover to get to where you are today? Do you still have much of a recovery to go, or are you about where you are for recovery?
Yeah, like how I am now is about all I'll get. Like below my injury. I don't want to say never, but it's very unlikely that it'll ever function again, or like I'll be able to do anything with my legs again. Um, so post accident, I did 3 months in Townsville Hospital, then was transferred down to the Princess Alexandra Hospital, and I did 9 months rehab and recovery down there, which was awesome because it was the spinal unit for Queensland. So I think, yeah, like after I got out of hospital, I had quite bad nerve pain, and that really limited like what I could do on a daily basis, um, either sort of for work or hobby. And it just was hard. Also being medicated for it too. I didn't realize at the time, like, because the hospital sort of just chuck you on whatever you need to deal with the pain and the nerve pain. And I didn't realize that the nerve pain itself actually, sorry, the medication itself actually causes pain. And it sounds stupid because the medication is meant to fix the pain, which it does. But what ended up happening was I would take the nerve pain medication, and I knew that I had to take it at a certain time every day. Otherwise, the pain would sort of kick in instantly. And it wasn't until I was having a real shit day one day, and I deliberately didn't take the medication because I wanted to hurt myself essentially and feel the pain and be cranky and be a dick, that the pain kicked in, but it only lasted for a few hours and then it sort of fizzled out a bit. And I thought, oh, that was sort of interesting, but I still took the medication later. And then I sort of wanted to test it because the medication also made me quite foggy in the head. Like I was sort of, it's hard to explain, but your brain doesn't function too well on heavy medication like that. Just, I suppose, a way to explain it is I was confused quite a lot, and I'd forget a lot of things worse than I would now. Like when I would get dressed in the morning, I'd be like, right, I've got to get dressed and put shoes and socks on. I'd leave the bedroom to go out to have breakfast, and I forgot to do shoes and socks. I'm like, fuck's sake, I go back into the bedroom, get into the bedroom and see my shoes. So I grab the shoes, head back out, realize I've forgotten the socks, go back in to get the socks, like just that kind of stuff. So because I knew that the pain didn't last for too long, I wanted to sort of try it out to come off the medication. And what I found was, like, at the start of coming off the medication, your body would like kick and scream and the pain would be so bad because it's like, hey, I'm in pain, help me. And it's sort of like, I suppose, medication addiction in a way that you don't realize. But eventually the pain would sort of fizzle out and I'd be fine. So then I eventually just went cold turkey and I was like, fuck this, like I'll just see how I go. And that's how I came off the pain meds. Um, so in good fashion of my acquired brain injury, I forgot the question that you asked me because I got sidetracked. Can you ask me the question again, please?
No, all good, mate. All good. Just like your recovery, how long has it taken you to recover and get to where you are now?
Yeah, thank you for that. So once I'd sorted the pain out, I realized that I could do a lot more than what I usually could because I didn't have to worry about, taking medication at a certain time or going and doing something and then being in like excruciating pain afterwards. I still get a little bit of nerve pain when I do stuff, and like if I go water skiing or on a huge like 5 hour drive in the car, like I still get sore, but not as bad as what I was. Um, so I suppose to cut a long story short, like recovery wise, I'm all good now. I just have to sort of manage it and be mindful of it. But because of the pain that I was in, it took me probably 2 or 3 years before I was back out doing like proper fun activities and hobbies. Like got back into my water skiing, um, sort of bigger adventures, got back into camping and realized I didn't sort of need to be reliant on having like a bed to lay down to rest my back as often, sort of thing. So yeah, it's about the 2 or 3 year mark before I got back into the swing of things properly.
Yeah, wow. Bit of a tough one, and talk about it how you like. But the mental health side of things, how did you go with that? Because again, your life got turned upside down, in an instant, and then you've had a long recovery journey with it. Pain and medication and withdrawals of medication, stuff like that. How
Mm.
how have you gone through that, and do you have any advice for if anyone in the future goes through something like you have with the mental health side of things? And I know mental health is
Mm.
a hard one to chat about for a lot of people, but it's a big issue within men around the place.
Yeah, that is a hard one. And it's a bit of a tricky one because I didn't realize how unwell I was at the start or when I was in the full swing of things. Um, when I first had my injury and was in hospital, like hospital was the best time for me, which is a weird thing to say, but when I woke up in Townsville Hospital, or they woke me up, they said, "Do you know what happened? Or do you know why you're here?" And I said, "Yeah, I stacked my bike." And they said, "Yep." And we sort of chatted about the injuries after that. And it was weird, like my, myself included and everybody around me were quite surprised that I would just had the sort of mentality of like, oh well, shit happens. I've got this injury. I can't change it. It is what it is. There's no point sulking about it. I've just got to sort of have little goals to get better, which like initially was like I couldn't do anything. Like I was just a couch potato stuck in bed. I couldn't roll myself over in bed. I couldn't go to the toilet. I couldn't move my arms properly because I'd done my scapula. Like I needed nurses to do every single thing for me, like shower, body, wipe my forehead, sort of thing. Like, so that was, sorry, I got a bit sidetracked in my
That's
train
okay.
of thought there. Um, that was like the best time for me because I had little goals of like, righto, I need to do my physio rehab so I can push myself around in a wheelchair instead of the nurses doing it for me. Like I was focused on that. I wanted to do my physio every day. And I gave the nurses the shits because sometimes it'd be like late in the arvo and the physios wanted to knock off and I'd sort of get pretty cranky with them because I'm like, you guys are restricting my recovery. Like put me in the fucking rehab room so I can do it. And so that was like good because I was so busy and focused on other things. And even when I got down to the Princess Alexandra Hospital, like I was busy with appointments, physio, rehab. They were teaching you how to use a wheelchair and how to go over bumps and gutters and stuff. Like you were busy, which looking back on it, like it was just a distraction, I suppose. And I didn't actually struggle with anything until I got home from hospital and I had free time and my mind could sort of wander and daydream about things. And I think also too, like being back at home where it was familiar but being different. Like I couldn't do things as I used to or as I normally would before my accident. So that's when I really struggled and would sort of at the worst times. And this was sort of just after separating from that partner that I had at the time. Like I remember being in bed for like 3 weeks straight, not because I wanted to, like I was just sort of not doing too well mentally. And I remember I'd wake up, I'd have my shower, breakfast, go back to bed, and I'd binge watch Netflix until lunch. Then I'd get up and I'd have lunch, then I'd binge watch Netflix to dinner time, and then I'd binge watch Netflix till I went to sleep. And that's all I did for 3 weeks. Um, and then like there's still times now where I have a shit day or like something could trigger a memory, or like I don't have them really anymore, but sometimes I'd like be laying in bed with my eyes shut or driving somewhere and I just have this flash and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I swear I was just on the beach. Like, what was that? I don't know because it was happened sort of like snap of your fingers so quickly it came and it went. But yeah, like there's little moments like that where it might trigger a memory and then I sort of get real shitty about being disabled or being in a wheelchair and life not being the way that it used to be. Like my life is still pretty fucking awesome, but obviously when you go from being able-bodied to being in a wheelchair, it's a big adjustment. Whether you realise it at the time or not, which I didn't, I'm still adjusting and I'm still learning. Like even now, like I've got a 14 months old son, and you know, I don't think that I'm mentally unwell, but like even stuff with him is a trigger. Like my partner put him in my wheelchair one day and he was real cute. I just pushing him around the house in my wheelchair and he thought it was the best. And then that for me was just like made me real upset because I was like, I don't want him to be like me. Like I don't want him to be in a wheelchair. It was just upsetting to see kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there is lots of struggles with it. There are lots of triggers for it that sort of like could set me off into, dwelling on things or thinking about things that aren't real fun, but you just got to sort of deal with it, I suppose. And I think, yeah, for somebody else who might, could have an injury or an accident, like I reached out to a young girl and her family just over the last few days. I think her name is Eliza Dennis. She was I didn't know her before I reached out, but I think she's a young, like 13-year-old or a young teenage motocross Australian champ or something. Like it's been all over social media, and she just 2 weeks ago has had quite a bad stack and some pretty bad injuries. And I just reached out to her and her family just to say like, hey, I'm Rick. This is my story of, I'm also in a chair from a dirt bike accident. Like if you guys want to ask any questions or if Eliza has any questions or wants a bit of like mentorship kind of thing of like how to do things from a chair and how to still have a cool life and do activities and go camping and whatever. Like I was, sort of just put it out there for them. I haven't heard anything back yet, but I'm definitely not a professional or a therapist by any means, but I think just with lived experience, there's plenty to say to people in that sense.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's awesome that you're able to reach out and offer advice and help someone else going through similar situation to what you went through. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've another one of my mates here. He had a bad bike accident on a notorious road here, and he ended up breaking both his femurs and was told he was never going to walk again. But thankfully, he got to a point where he rehabbed enough and whatnot, and he was able to get into himself to a point. But he always spoke about how he used hunting as he had that as his push to just keep trying to push himself to get through, especially like the mental sides of things. And that seems to be the point that you were making about once you're home and out of hospital, that's when things tend to get the hardest. And you hear that with lots of different injuries and stuff like that. You hear that with ex-military guys who come back from overseas, and they've been in hospital for one reason or another, and they're in that recovery stage of things. They're getting home and getting back to things somewhat back to normal is the hardest thing. Which is but it's great to see you here and where you are now. And it was it was inspiring to see your Facebook post the other day, and seeing the point where you are at now, and that you're able to still get out there and enjoy yourself doing it. So how did that come about? How did you get back into camping and hunting and getting outdoors?
It's always been a hobby of mine. Like, I've been camping and shooting and that sort of stuff since I was a kid. So it was always something I wanted to get back to. Like, the first, I suppose, major hobby that I got back to was the water skiing, because a mate of mine sort of assisted me to get back into that. But with the camping, like, it took me a little bit, like, at first, just because of how people in my situation have to go to the toilet and have to shower. It can be a bit of a nightmare. So I was quite sort of hesitant and a bit afraid to go camping, because I was like, in my head, I was like, I need a flat area for my shower commode and to have like a big bathroom so I can do my stuff. So it was a long time before I actually went camping. And it was just something that I wanted to do. I sort of got sick of not doing it and having to stay in hotels and whatever, and because my partner and the kids, like, they enjoy camping and always have. So I was just sort of like, fuck it, I'm going to do it and just see how we go. So I bought the caravan maybe 2 years ago. It's not an accessible caravan, like, it's just a toy hauler. It's sort of like the guy that I bought it off, he had his quad bikes and dirt bikes in the back. It's like the rear tailgate drops down, and so back is for the storage of the bikes, or where I put my off-road wheelchair. And that's when the chair's not in there, that's where the couches fold down into a bed where we sleep. And then the front's just like, it's just a normal caravan really. Like, it's got the couches where you have your kitchen and the little kitchenette bit, of fridge, and then the front is the toilet and the bath, the shower. So just the last few days I've just been making a couple of videos on how I do stuff with the caravan, and there's some of them that are up now, and others will sort of come out. I've scheduled the posts to sort of come out in the next few days. Just to show people how I do that in the caravan, because it's a bit of a weird setup being a non-accessible van, which I really wanted an accessible van to do, sort of get back to camping, but they were like $80,000 for a second-hand one. I didn't have that kind of money, so we sort of just wing it. I do have a lot of help from my partner with things like, there's stuff that I can't do, like fold down the bed in the caravan. Sort of, I can get the rear tailgate down, but I can't get it back up. It's too heavy for me. She sort of helps me with transfers sometimes, but I do most of them by myself.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy that you were able to make that work. And just like the thought process that would have to go into absolutely everything to get you set up. Getting into the hunting side of things, how'd you end up getting back into that? Like, you post the photos of your chair, and what was the journey to getting that?
Yeah, so that was a pain in the ass to get that chair. It's called, I think they used to be called an Action Tracks chair, but I think they're now called the Track chair or something. It took me 2 years to get it, and it was like right from me being in hospital in Brisbane. Like, I knew from the get-go, like, I didn't want to be a couch potato. I still wanted to do the same things I could as best I could, or sort of close to it. So it took me 2 years of arguing with my funding to get the chair because they're quite expensive, and they were trying to sort of figure out any way out of it. So for those that don't know, and if they haven't seen it, it's like a massive off-road wheelchair that has what you'd call like tank tracks or like caterpillar tracks to drive it. And when I got the chair, because I'd listed with my funding all the hobbies that I'd done before, like water skiing, shooting, hunting, camping, all the other stuff, like a hiking, like very outdoors sort of person. That was my sort of justification for this chair. Like, I want to go to the beach. I want to go out in the scrub. I want to still go hunting if I can. And I was lucky enough that those chairs and the accessories that you can get when you purchase them, some, because they're from America, like some of the accessories are hunting related. So I'll have to put some better photos up. We'll do a video on the hunting setup specifically for people. But on the left-hand side of the chair, there's sort of like the rubber forks for holding your rifle. Like, it's got two posts with the rubber forks on them, so I can mount a rifle on the left-hand side that's sort of pointed down towards the ground. And then there's another, I wouldn't say telescopic, but there's another mount that sort of like has the fork on the end of it for holding the rifle when it's sitting in your shoulder in the chair, and you can sort of like swivel it round to left and right and sort of like aim with it. So that's how I get around when I'm out hunting. And it, as I said, it took me a while before I went out and did stuff properly. But yeah, like I can, with a lot of difficulty, actually, I can go do it by myself, but I never do. Like, I always have someone come out with me just in case. But yeah, my Trax chair has a little sort of tackle box or toolbox on the side. That's where I put my boxes of ammo. On the left, there's a cup holder where I put my 2 10-round magazines. I normally shoot with, it depends sort of how I'm feeling on the day, but I like to take my 223 out, like a Lithgow 223. So I normally have that sort of sitting in my lap in the mount that's sort of looking out the front, and I sort of just operate the wheelchair with it ready to go, with the second rifle mounted in the side holster or side of the chair. Yeah, it's been really awesome being able to do that from a chair, because one thing that you sort of reminded me of before when you're talking about like ex-military dudes and mental health was, I sort of had 2 things to say on this. Like, shooting itself, separate to hunting, has been awesome for me and my mental health for some sort of weird reason that, like, whether you're at the range or you're out hunting in the scrub looking for deer or roos or pigs or whatever, you're concentrating so hard on what you're doing that you don't have the ability really for your mind to wander and think about other stuff. Like, if you're out in the scrub, you're constantly like scanning, looking for animals. If you don't have earmuffs on, like, you're listening for stuff. And even if you're at the range, like, well, for me anyway, like, I'm concentrating so hard on getting my group as good as I can, or shooting out as far as I can, because I find that fun, like trying to shoot as far as I possibly can. And you just concentrate so hard, you don't, like, before you know it, it's been like 6 hours and they're kicking you out of the range sort of thing. And something that a therapist told me years ago when I was still in the army, because I was having some issues at the time, and I had a Harley Davidson, and I rode my Harley from Cairns back to Townsville, which is like a 3 or 3.5 hour ride. But I stupidly did that as fast as I could, which, like, Harleys aren't super quick, but I did that at sort of between 180 Ks an hour and 200 Ks an hour the whole way. Like, so fucking stupid. But at the time I was just doing it, and I didn't kind of know why I was doing it. And I asked someone about it, and they said it's because you're concentrating so hard on what you're doing. Like, it's sort of life or death in a way. You're concentrating on what's in front of you, cars, police, whatever. Like, you're not thinking about anything else, and it does, like, what's happening outside of that doesn't hurt anymore, sort of thing. So obviously that's not a good place to be in, but I find that with shooting, like, it's awesome. You concentrate hunting, like, you get to take down something, it just feels awesome. And then, yeah, before you know it, it's dark and you've got to head home sort of thing. Like, yeah, it's been really good.
With the chair, what type of battery life are you getting out of it?
Yeah, so it's got two 12-volt, like large car or truck batteries under the seat. So I think it's a 24 volt. Yeah, it's 24-volt system. Um, and I think because I've had my chair for a little while now that my batteries, not that they're shit, but I think if I had new batteries, I'd be getting better, like a better life cycle out of them when I'm out. So it depends on the type of terrain that I'm in, what battery life I'll get. If I sort of head out from home, taking the dog or the little fella for a walk, and there's only a few hills that might be like 50 or 100 meters long, and most of it's flat, like I can sort of do like a 7 kilometer loop without any worries. Like I'll get home with enough battery to be not stressing. Obviously, if there's more hills and that sort of stuff, you have less distance than that because you're chewing more battery power trying to get up the hill kind of thing. But yeah, out in the scrub when you're looking for stuff, like I'll still get 3 or 4 hours worth sort of thing. Like if it's pretty crap terrain. Yeah, like the last time I went out on my father-in-law's farm, um, I was out like I think I got there at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, and I was out till 11 before I was having to put it back on the trailer sort of thing, and that's pretty shit country. Like it wasn't flat. Like there's a lot of valleys kind of thing. Um, yeah, so it was good.
How noisy is the chair? Like, is it?
It's not very noisy at all. Like the electric motors, yeah, they're pretty quiet. Like the noisiest thing would probably be the tracks going across the ground. But it's definitely, yeah, you're not scaring animals off until you're right up close to them within probably, yeah.
Oop, lost you for a little second there. But yeah, that's crazy. I'm trying to think of what else. Well, what else to ask? Like, is there a solar panel attachment or anything like that that you can take with you if you're sitting there and like kind of just waiting for game to come out, recharge, or
Um, yeah, so not that I know of from when I purchased the chair, but I have thought about that. Like, because really, the charging system on the back of the chair, it's powered from 240 volt, so it's either plugged into the house or you need a generator. You would be able to rig something up, and I have thought about doing it recently, like either having like a solar panel just attached to the batteries while it's sitting there doing nothing and putting a bit of charge back into it, or having like building like a bit of a frame with a solar panel above me so it's putting charge back into them while I'm out and about. Another thing that I thought of while I was out the other day, because it does annoy me that I'm a bit limited to how far I can go. Like it's frustrating, not being able to go out for as long as I want. I have to be mindful of how far I get and making sure I'm able to get back to the car without getting stuck in a valley somewhere. I did think about like maybe trying to mount a truck alternator on the chair somewhere and have it like rigged up to a bit of a pulley system to the tracks, so the tracks somehow have like a belt down to the alternator, and that could put charge back into the batteries. Yeah, there's definitely things I could do to it. I just haven't bothered. Um, I did meet a family in Townsville who had the same chair for their son, and they mounted a little 12-volt winch on it for him because he was always getting stuck in weird spots. The dad was getting sick of trying to push him out, so he mounted a winch on it. Yeah, it was cool.
that's that'd be pretty cool. What type of animals that you posted on Facebook? You posted a few foxes and that. What other animals are you been able to get while out?
From my chair, I've only been able to get a big boar, like a big pig down in New South Wales, foxes, rabbits, feral cat, and a few roos. But yeah, nothing super exciting. But I was still wrapped with that because
That's awesome.
like hunting for me is pretty difficult. So like when I do get something, it's just the best thing ever. Yeah.
That's cool. Are you just mainly going out during the day, or are you doing some spotlighting or thermal? Because being on the chair, you could set up a whole, thermal iPad setup as well. Would be pretty badass, spotlight.
Yeah, that's something like a thermal setup is definitely on the to-do list and one of the goals. Something I'd like to do, but they're just pretty dear, and it's out of my price range at the
Yeah,
moment with other commitments that I've got. Um, but yeah, definitely one day I'll have a thermal setup. But yeah, for the moment, I just head out both day and night. If I'm out at night, I just have it because I'm trying to be mindful of the battery power operating my chair. I just take a rechargeable cordless spotlight, and which has been it's been awesome. I also just take a battery pack to sort of keep putting charge back into it because they don't last as long as I would like, and they sort of obviously get a bit duller as the night goes on. I was sort of lucky enough that up in Townsville, I put the Trax chair into the back of my Holden, Colorado ute and strapped it all down. And I had my dad driving just on the radio with me. And every time I saw something, I'd just tell him to stop and I just shoot from up on top of the ute. It was pretty cool.
that's awesome. That would have been a sight and a half to see. I
Yeah.
I did have a laugh at one of the comments because I was reading a couple of the comments on the post that you put up. One of the comments, I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but he mentioned getting a tank helmet and wearing the tank helmet while you're cruising around. Um, I found that quite amusing. But yeah, that's so cool. Do you have deer on the cards? Are you gonna try and get out for deer anytime soon? Is there deer in your area or the areas that you hunt?
Yeah, not super sort of common in my area. Supposedly, like out a bit further, there's deer, or out sort of a bit further down south towards Stanthorpe and that sort of stuff. There's deer around, but I haven't like I've sort of struggled to get onto properties around Warwick. So there could be, but I just haven't been able to get on anywhere to find out. So yeah, I would love to get a deer one day, but for the moment, I'm just happy with sort of pest species and just sort of shooting what I can. I'm not fussy at the moment.
That's awesome. You mentioned before a feral cat. Was that calling him in, or was that kind of like you've spotted it and managed to get close?
So the feral cat was actually on a like a rubbish pile. Like someone had dumped a heap of rubbish, and we came in with no headlights on, sort of real quiet, and then just flicked the I can't remember if we flicked our spotties on or just the hunting spotlight, and yeah, it was just we didn't have to call it in. It was just sort of sitting there and kept peeking its head up above the rubbish to see what we were doing, and I think on the second or third time it popped up, I cracked it in the head, which was awesome. The foxes that I got, I had one of them. We were just spotlighting, and it was off probably like 200 meters out in the paddock, and I didn't think I'd actually got it. And my friend that I was hunting with at the time, she thought I'd missed it, and she's like, she didn't want to walk out there because she's like, it's a waste of time, mate. You missed it. And I was like, please, like, can you just go have a look? Like, if I have got it, I want to see, sort of thing. So she stomped out there, and it was like, buddy, nearly -3 degrees or something. Poor buggers out through the paddock. And I saw her like hold it up, and it was like the best fucking day of my life, just about, other than my son being born, of course. And yeah, she brought it back to the car with me so I could get a photo on that. And then, but yeah, one of the other foxes, I sort of just sat out in the paddock and we'd shot a couple of rabbits, and I just paid some like stressed animal sounds or like fox calling stuff through my stereo in the car, and waited for 5 or 10 and then had a bit of a look around, and I was able to get another one, which was cool.
That's awesome.
Mm.
What about the pig? What's the story with the pig?
Oh, that's a bad one actually. Same night as the one of the foxes, I was out spotlighting with my partner, driving the car for me, and we'd seen quite a few pigs that night, but they were out too far and I'd missed. So I was shooting with my father-in-law's 222, and I'd missed the first bunch, and then were sort of up a bit higher and we could see down into this paddock, and it had just been harvested, so it was nice and clear. And it was like, I'll have to put up a photo of it, but it was quite a decent sized pig, not enormous, but good enough for me, sort of thing. And I seen this pig, and I think I missed the first shot, and I got it with the second shot, and the poor bastard, I shot it through the spine, so it took out its rear legs. So all that it was doing, its front legs were going, and he was just going around doing donuts because his back legs wouldn't work. And as a paraplegic, I felt a little bit bad after that. Um, but
You're smirking something shocking and it's making me laugh as you're telling the story. I feel bad for laughing.
um, so yeah, and my partner, being the darling that she is, I think it was probably, I don't know how far, maybe 150 meters out into the paddock, and because it was quite a decent pig, like it wasn't light. And again, I wanted to see it, and she was nice enough to wander out there, and she had the radio with her because it was pitch black, and obviously, and she was a bit scared out there. And she said, if anything, she was scared of it getting attacked by another pig, and she went out there to finish it off for me. So while she was out there, because she had the radio, I made pig noises on the radio. She shit herself and took off running flat out through this paddock, and then realised it was just me, and I was in a bit of strife after that. But she dragged the pig all the way back to the car for me and was fucking buggered after that. But I was able to get a photo with it, which I forgot to put up when I put my post up. I think I only did the fox and the cat, but I'll have to do another post with the pig that I got.
Definitely.
So yeah, that was a good night.
No, that's awesome. It's so good to see you get amongst it. And yeah, like we said, there was another fella that put up a post asking, he was also in a chair, and he was asking if there was other people in Australia getting out there doing it. I just sent you a profile of one of the past guests, Evan, who was the guy that went up to Alaska and took his chair up there and ended up getting onto caribou and stuff like that, which is freaking awesome. He's in Oregon, and he gets out and chases black-tailed deer and turkeys and that, and he's always out. Like, he works in an outdoors store as well, so he's just constantly getting amongst it, which is so cool to see. He's friends with the fella that made my wedding ring. I got a custom wedding ring made up, and it's got like elk antler and bison hair and Alaskan pan gold and that in it. And he gets out with him, and then another one of my mates up in Oregon. He's just like, hey, I know that guy. He serves me all the time in the store that I go to, which is just cool. And there's a bunch of other guys in the States. I'm not sure if you're aware of them, but I've sent you through Evan's profile, and he's just a badass dude. He's got a similar chair to yourself, but he gets it. He's got spina bifida, and he gets out on, from memory, it's been that long since I did the podcast with him, but he gets out on crutches and normal chair and everything. It's just so cool and so inspirational to see, and that's why I reckon your post just blew up. Just to see people out there, with things not slowing them down. There's a few guys in the States, like you said, you were chatting to another fellow who's a quadriplegic. They've got all sorts of setups over there that they blow through a tube to shoot rifles, which is just absolutely insane. I've gone down the rabbit hole watching a bunch of different hunters over in the States who are in that position, which is just, it's so cool to see people get out.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sending that profile through. And yeah, I agree. That is the coolest thing to see, I reckon. Yeah, at the moment. Like I hadn't had too much to do with anything disability related before my accident. Like I didn't know anyone that was disabled. Um, it hadn't really been a thought in my mind, and that's sort of something from my accident. You never think accidents are going to happen, but they can happen any day or any time. Like you could, I think as I said to you earlier, I don't know if it was before we kicked this off or not, but like you could have a crazy bike accident like I did, or you could trip over a lip in the footpath and bump your head and you're dead. Like, or slip over in the shopping centre. Like accidents can happen at the most unexpected time. But yeah, like I suppose in regard to the old mate with the who's still hunting as a quadriplegic, like that's fucking cool. I remember when I was in hospital, there was guys who were steering their wheelchair with like the movement of their chin, or like I thought it was, yeah, I knew they had a straw in their mouth, but I didn't know if it was sucking or blowing or what they were doing, but I could see that they were operating the chair from that. Um, so that's the coolest thing ever to see. Like they haven't let whatever's happened, whether it's an accident or something they've been born with, stopping them from doing the stuff that they want to do. And that's sort of one of the reasons why I started the page that I did. Like I wanted to show people that, like as the Facebook page is called, like life goes on. Like I've had a bike accident, but I still do all of the things that I used to do. Like I still go hunting and water skiing and camping and four-wheel driving and all the other stuff. Like I wanted to show people that that haven't seen it before, like this is how we live our life and this is how I go camping and shooting and whatever. And sort of be for the people that are in a similar situation that might be sort of feeling how I was feeling at the start, like it's too hard and my back hurts and I can't do it. You can do it with sort of some equipment to assist, or with just a bit of extra help from family, friends, or support workers. Like, yeah, that's really good to hear that there's a lot more people out there doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's some absolutely crazy stories, like whether it's accidents like yourself, whether it's people like Evan, or you know rest his soul Billy, who I was speaking about earlier, who tragically passed away last year, who'd been fighting spina bifida all his life, but getting out there and still getting out and hunting and fishing and whatnot and being an inspiration. There's another fellow who was on the Meat Eater podcast, and I've been following him for years. He tragically got shot with a shotgun, and he was had all sorts of spinal issues afterwards. And seeing him get out is just, yeah, again, so inspirational, and just awesome to see people still getting out there and living their life as best they can when they can. Um, you
Mm.
know, speaking of Evan, who went and chased caribou in Alaska in his chair. Do you have, like, money not being an issue, um, like a top five dream animals or dream hunts, or somewhere that you'd want to go and hunt or fish or camp?
Um, not something that I'm laying in bed sort of dreaming about. Like I honestly just enjoy being able to sort of do the activity, being hunting itself and being out in the bush was something that I loved doing before my accident. Um, so like, yeah, I like sort of the pest species stuff at the moment, like foxes, pigs, feral cats, um, all that sort of stuff. Um, and I haven't ever shot a deer, so I'd say if I had to pick something, like that's something within in reach for me at the moment, like because there's deer not too far from home, so that'd probably be something that I'd like to tick off and sort of, yeah, say I've done that sort of thing and get the get the antlers and the meat for the dog food and all that sort of stuff.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely looking forward to the post of you getting out chasing some deer. I know a couple of fellas in Queensland that I'll message after the podcast and see if they can help you get out there. They do a bunch of guiding stuff and like hunter education courses. So I reckon that, and they run podcasts as well. So I reckon you'd have a great time having a chat to them and getting out with them. So I'll message them after this and have a chat to them for you, which I reckon will be wicked to see. And they do a bunch of videos and stuff like that. So I reckon that'd be a cool thing for you to get out and do. So, but yeah, it's so inspirational to see you get out there. Do you cook the rabbits that you have been getting, or a bit too
No, I haven't. I haven't eaten anything that I've hunted so far. The rabbits were just out on the father-in-law's farm, and it was just because I hadn't seen anything else out there. I was just shooting rabbits while we were looking for foxes and pigs. When I shot the first rabbit that I shot there, my partner was horrified because she sort of went over to it for me. The first rabbit I shot was pregnant, and I blew the baby out of it. So the baby, she didn't want to go hunting anymore after that. But yeah, thank you for, I suppose, possibly putting me in touch with some people, because it is a bit of a struggle to find places to go where I'm located.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to tick those boxes and even just sort of network with people in the area and possibly go hunting together. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, no, I'll try my best. I know a few people up that way, so I'll send some messages and make some calls and see what we can do. It popped into my head, and I'm not sure if it's a stupid question or not, speaking about food, but do you have to be careful about eating certain types of food with like the issue, with the digestion issues, or however you would put it? I don't know the words to put it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I know what you're trying to I know what you're trying to say. A little bit. I do have to be mindful of things that I eat and drink, because my below my injury doesn't have the blood flow that it used to, because when people who are able-bodied walk, and this is something that I didn't realize because I wasn't very clever, but when sort of people walk around, the muscles are contracting in the like calves and your thighs and your abdominal muscles when you're moving. It all helps with blood circulation. Like a lot of people think that your heart is what pumps your blood around the entire body, sort of all the way down and all the way back up, but it's actually your muscles that help pump the blood back up and circulate through your body. So because my lower body below my nipples doesn't do that anymore, I have sort of issues with my blood pressure. I wear what's called a binder, which kind of just like a Velcro or elastic belt thing around my stomach, because my organs, and because I don't have stomach muscles anymore to hold the organs in place, my organs kind of like flex out a bit, I suppose, or like, I don't know how to explain it. It kind of looks like I've got a bit of a beer belly, but because there's no muscles there to hold it in, which also helps with the blood pressure. So because I don't have as good sort of blood pressure there, my intestines and everything don't process food the way it normally would. So at first I used to take medication to sort of soften everything up and also like help move it through the intestines. But I don't do that anymore. I don't take the medication. I just make sure that I keep my fluids up to sort of help with how solid everything is while it's moving through your body. Sorry, got a bit sidetracked there, but I have to be mindful of some foods if they're super spicy. I got caught out in Brisbane when I was still in hospital, but I was allowed to go out and sort of do things. I caught up with friends in Brisbane and we went to this really nice Italian restaurant, and it was like authentic pizza and was really oily and greasy. And because it was so oily, it just went straight through me, and I fucking shit myself everywhere in my friend's hotel that they were staying in the bed. And my poor partner at the time had to pretty much like grab the bloody bed sheets and fuck it. Yeah, it was a fuck fight. But yeah, so I have to be mindful of spicy food, oily food, that sort of
Yeah.
stuff because it can be a bit of a disaster. Um, yeah.
Yeah, sorry if that was a bit personal, but yeah, I was like
um,
asking about the food. I'm just like, oh yeah, yeah. It's just a something that popped into my mind, and I didn't really know how to ask it either.
yeah, it's all good. I don't mind any question. I'm happy to talk about anything really.
Moving to the towards the end of the podcast, I told you that I love discussing these ones as well, but you said earlier what you did for work to me. I'm not sure if you said it on the podcast or not, whether you want to talk about it or not. But how do you see the public views on hunting and hunters? Like, you just have an everyday conversation with people who might not be exposed to hunting. How do you see the general public views on it when you're having a chat to someone?
It depends on the person. Like, there's a lot of different views out there and a lot of different, I suppose, demographics, if you want to call it that. Um, so I've had quite mixed experiences talking about hunting and being in the army and that sort of stuff. Like some people that I suppose you would call them, yeah, a bit of a greenie or a hippie or whatever, like they're, that way inclined, they get quite cranky about it. And sort of, I remember I was talking about shooting a kangaroo one day and I was talking to my dad about it, and this person said, "Well, why would you do that?" And I was like, "Why not? Like, the farmer wanted me to. It's a pest on his property. It's damaging his crops, and I wanted to shoot it. And then it was used for dog food. Like, and they didn't understand. Like, it didn't matter what I said in the conversation. They just didn't see it the same. To them, it was I killed a living thing and I took a family member away from the other roos and that sort of stuff, which I get, and I don't mind people who think like that. But yeah, it's just mixed feelings really. Other people sort of aren't too fussed about it, and they ask how the trip was and what'd you do, and I suppose it doesn't bother them. It's not their thing. They're not into hunting or shooting, but they're not angry about it, sort of thing. So yeah, I've had quite a few different experiences, I'd say.
That's good. How would you personally change the public views on hunting and hunters?
I don't think you ever will. Like, people are who they are. They've had different experiences in life or different upbringings, and like it's like I have friends talk to me about politics and the things that are going on in the world these days, and they say, "Oh, we should do this and do that." It's like, why fucking bother? Like, me and you are like little ants on the universe, like, or the bloody whatever. Like, you're not you going and marching down the street holding a sign, carrying on about whatever you want to talk about is not going to change stuff in politics, or where some politician's getting paid 50 grand in his bank account or cash to keep something the way it is because he makes money out of it, and someone else doesn't want to change. Like, yeah, I don't think we'll ever change it entirely. Even if it does change to some extent, there's always going to be people who think differently about it, and that's their right. Like,
100%.
yeah, as long as you're not kicking my door in telling me you can't hunt and you can't do this, and people can do what they want, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, no, 100% agree with you there. Um, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, what is hunting to you?
Um, Hunting for me is independence and freedom and fun. And I suppose because of the situation that I'm in, being a paraplegic in a wheelchair, it's a reminder that I can still do a lot of things that, yeah, most people think I can't, or that at first I didn't think I could do. So yeah, it's I suppose all of those things combined. Like, for me, it's just happiness. I'm out doing something that I enjoy. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. If people have loved what they've heard and they want to see more from you, and I'm definitely keen to see more, what's your social media where people can follow you and follow your adventures?
Yeah, so the Facebook page that I've just started to show how I live life as a paraplegic and how I do things that I enjoy, being water skiing, hunting and shooting and camping, and even just little things like with the family, like taking the little fella out for a walk and with my off-road chair and that sort of stuff. The Facebook page is called Life Goes On Adventures. So yeah, people can sort of have a look there, even if they want to have a sticky beak and it's not for them, I don't mind. But if they want to see some stuff, they just follow along. I also like when people message and comment and sort of either ask me to do things or ask me questions about the stuff that I do. That's been really good. Like, I've just put up a couple of videos over the last couple of days of how I get my wheelchair in and out of the caravan and how I personally get in and out of the van, because it's not an accessible van. So yeah, I like that side of it too. Like when people request sort of for content or...
No, that's awesome. I definitely recommend you getting Instagram, because I reckon you'll get a bit more of a... the algorithm will work at a bit more than Facebook does, and you'd be able to do some awesome reels and like the video, going over your chair and your caravan and stuff like that. You'll be able to go and do a bit more in-depth videos on that stuff and get a bit more exposure. No, it's really cool to see what you're doing, and I've really enjoyed this conversation, mate, and really want to thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you, very much for having me and asking the questions that you have and letting me, I suppose, share my story and how I do things. And hopefully people that are listening might be a little bit inspired by it, or someone who's in a similar situation might go, oh, fuck, I can go hunting and do the things that I have been putting off. So thank you for having me and letting me hopefully have that effect on people.
Anytime, man, anytime. And if you said that you've got some extended family down this way, if you ever find your way into South Australia, sing out. I'd love to catch up for a beer and bring your rifles and we'll go for a shoot too.
I was going to say, don't say that. I might hold you to that.
No, open offer, man. Whenever you want, whether it's now or 5 or 10 years down the track, sing out and we'll work something out. That's for sure. I'd be keen to go for a shoot with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Nah, awesome, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll chat again soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.